And I think we're going live.
Nice.
Episode 1.
The beginning of beginnings.
Genesis. Big Bang.
Right, Big Bang. Always include both.
Everything. You know what I mean?
We're all
I'm not here to say what happened. I wasn't there. How could I know?
well, I mean, you might have been there. In this form, I don't
In
know.
this form.
But
Yeah.
in A form.
A form. I was a butterfly then. I was.
Right.
The first butterfly, space butterfly.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting.
You didn't
I
need
would've-
air
I would've-
back then. You
I would
brought
have
it up and now I
considered.
remember.
Right. Oh, it's one of those flashback memories, eh?
Remember in the 90s? People who thought I am communicating. Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
We're going to talk about those too. Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Elgin.
Yeah. This is 9 midnight. Like a talk show, like a radio show. And yeah, we're going to talk about stuff that a lot of people have already talked about. If you're interested in that, you probably know more than us, or as much. But we want to hear from people who've talked to ghosts and been abducted by aliens, and we're hoping that people will come to us if we just keep putting ourselves out there, you know? Have you been to a MUFON meeting, Elgin?
No, not yet. Actually,
No.
after you talked to me about it, I started looking it up. I'm pretty excited to go to one of those.
There's a chapter in Vegas, I think.
Yeah, there definitely is.
I mean, I think a probably prominent chapter, 95 miles away from Area 51, man.
We're at the epicenter of weird.
Not too far from Skywalker Ranch either.
Right.
So, yeah.
The one thing I do want to mention that's really nice that you can call in, tell us your stories, tell us everything that you've heard of, or write into us, shoot us a DM on all our social platforms. We have all of them: Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, every single one of them. So hit us up on direct
code.
message or the QR code. We'll post that on all the socials, and you'll be able to send us a message. Let us know when you want to come on. We'll sit and chat with you. We're skeptics and believers of everything. That's the best part. This podcast is.
I want to believe. I want to believe.
I'm a skeptic who thinks that what everything you're saying has to be real. I'm that kind of a person. So
I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I want to hear. I believe people have gone through things and feel things, though I can't understand them, But, I mean, do you know about the Ariel school case? The
No.
Ariel school in Zimbabwe? Like, these kids, like, 60-something kids in Zimbabwe saw a UFO land, and a couple men with big heads and eyes talked to them without moving their mouth.
Oh,
and they
really?
all have the same story. They all have the same pictures. Weird stuff. And the teacher, one of the craziest ones. Yeah, I'm going to send you something about that. That'll come up more. The Ariel
Definitely want to read about that one. That kind of reminds me of that park that's here in Vegas, that Fox Ridge Park, where everybody has the same story about that kid on the a ghost or a child on the swing set, and it happens every certain amount of months or time.
Really?
Yeah, it's like one of the most. They say actually you can look it up on any paranormal thing that Las Vegas, that exact park is one of the most haunted parks in the United States, because supposedly a few different children were killed or end up there after being killed.
Really?
Yeah, and it's actually in a nice, really affluent area of Vegas. It's not in like a crappy area of town or anything like that. It's a pretty nice area where you wouldn't expect someone to been killed there, especially not a child.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I ever expect it. It is kind of always a shock when you hear someone's that way towards young people for anything, and there's always something something there. I think for the most part, and that may come up to, you know, people people who have done odd things, serial killers or something, odd cases, but yeah, ours isn't going to be so much like reports. I, I've listened to and read many people who have a lot of information, dug very deep. And some of these older cases, like BTK or Jeffrey Dahmer, the
Yeah,
books
yeah.
the books have been written.
I do like some of them, like Zodiac Killer. Like, it is sort of paranormal. Like, goes into he was told by something to do this act, and those are always interesting to me. Like, man, you did it for so long and kept listening to the voice in your head. Was it supernatural? Was it just your natural brain, going bad?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to hear a little bit of research on that, or other people's stories on it too. That's always other people's takes. There's always that one, police person or report person
Mhm.
that didn't file the report exactly like everybody else because he wanted to speed up the paperwork. You know what I mean?
And that's always the bureaucracy. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can be, this really weird little thing that, hey, so and so, it's your job to run things between offices, run this, and then something gets mishandled, or the Unabomber thing where it was solved by, I guess, someone who just figured out because of the proper vernacular of the term, have your cake and eat it too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, like you were saying, bureaucracy. Like, now they're finally releasing how many documents and video footages of all the alien stuff that's happening, and it's like, why is it just now being released? Well, it had to go through 10 to 20, 30 years of red tape to finally be released, where it's like, oh yeah, okay, now everybody's seen it and everybody knows about it. Let's go ahead and release it and say it was real.
And when that happens, I feel like there's more and more. I had heard about it. It was a plot, during the Cold War. Right after World War II, we were in the Cold War, and it was a plot by the Russians to, or actually even I think that one of the conspiracy theories, Joseph Mengele went to work for them in their version of Paperclip, right? And he had transformed some young uh, young children again who were born extra chromosomes or whatever, something slightly different, that they took them away and made them look like not human, and then sent them on some uh, you know crash mission to crash in something that looked really sleek, and maybe a disc flung, like, I don't know, shooting skeet. Maybe if I mean, what if they built a giant disc with the idea of shooting it, like skeet, and that this someone else would shoot if it was clay, like a clay pigeon. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Eh, that sure would fly till it crashed.
Yeah, and I'm sure that would be a very weird looking craft. Why would that be a
Absolutely.
thing that would be naturally flying around back in those days?
And for the record, if anyone is listening or in the future listens, I'm the one who thinks aliens are real. I've just noticed that since there's been this, I don't know if it's being considered disclosure yet. Um, there's there's been more and more. It pops up. Oh well, it's just plastic surgery on children, to make them look like aliens and sent on, or corpses, mutilated to look like like something nefarious and espionage to make the Americans think that we were going to get invaded by aliens. But on the other
Right.
hand, the granddaughter of President Eisenhower, she believes that he shook hands with aliens, like all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to me. I've always been a realist, thinking, hey, a lot of it's got to be real if enough people are starting to say it. If it was just one or two crackpots, I'm like, yeah, right, get out of here. But when
Yeah.
it's thousands of people saying they seen the same thing, or seeing, or reports coming out like, oh, this thing it's nothing. Everybody, don't worry about it. Pay no mind to that. Anytime the government's saying that, or trying to oversimplify it, you know that it's wrong. You know that, that there's more truth to it, or more something to this story, and that's always why I like to have an open mind when it comes to that sort of stuff, just because it's like, oh, okay, hey, we have this unidentified flying object, and it's a weather balloon that's flying at light speed. Oh, okay.
Causing sonic booms.
Yeah, that can travel between nations and different states within minutes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we don't have that technology in weather balloons.
Why are
First of
we-
all,
What are we doing? How do we track the weather these days? Can you know?
and if so, why are you telling me it's going to rain 10% of the time instead
so
of telling me
wrong about
what
rain.
time? Yeah, instead of telling me what time it's going to rain.
Yeah. With that, there was the Admiral Byrd, who said that they had machines that could fly from pole to pole, in a moment, and
Right.
they think that was, and then they say, oh, that wasn't real, that wasn't a real report. But the way it sounds is that right from Antarctica, he showed up, South America. They got to the nearest land as quick, and it sounds like a reporter was close enough to hear him being like, "Man, this is fucking happening." And I mean, it's like we gotta get that. And then they get back up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're retired now. Thanks."
Thank you for your service. Shut up. Don't say anything anymore.
At least they didn't throw him out of a window. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, normally you end up having a crazy plane crash, or you don't pay your taxes and end up dying in jail, which is weird.
Or your friends, let you know that you had a mental breakdown. They walk you into the office, and then where they put you in a padded room, and then they leave. And then somehow you're jumping out the fourth floor, right?
Even better, you own an island, and then all of a sudden you get killed.
Yeah, all of these people, and the cameras are turned off.
Oh, our electric system just happened to fail that day, even
Yeah.
though it's never failed, and we have 4 different redundant backup systems. But just that day, they all happened to fail in conjunction to each other.
You know that thing that's pissed off everyone in the world? I mean, the craziest thing.
Here's the thing, right?
Electrical issues, you know what I mean? I think there should be some forgiveness, maybe for me right now. With if this is crackly, please someone let me know if it sounds crackly or bad. I'm interested to know how it is, if it's all right. But yeah, it's like if you're at jail, a maximum security federal jail, get your cameras fixed.
A simple
Aliens,
battery seems like.
Yeah, aliens.
I mean, you know what's funny to me? Always, I've always been intrigued with how the government covers things up. They always oversimplify it and try to make it sound so ridiculously simple. I would much prefer them make it way more complicated, to the point where you're like, I don't even understand what they're saying, so they must be telling the truth. They're always like, oh, it's just bad weather, or there was a flash in the sky. We were doing testing of a new light system. It's like too simple. I don't believe you at all. I mean, if they came out and were like, oh, it's a laser guided blah 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 blah, and went into all these technical terms, I'd be like, sure, I guess. You know what I mean? How can I question you? I don't even know what you're talking about. But when you're like, it's a mylar balloon that we shined a flashlight on, like, shut up.
Mylar, it took me a while to realize why that sounded familiar. Because if you go to the supermarket and go to the florist, you get a Mylar balloon that says "Love ya, Mom," and that comes with the flowers for an extra 15.99, right? And so that's my lie. That's
And while
that's
it
what they said it was.
while it does float for quite a while, it
Sure.
doesn't float in those atmospheric temperatures or heights that they talk about always, which is always like they then have to explain their super simple, oh, it's a weather balloon, but we designed it for a high flight and like come on, you guys. If you made a more technical excuse, it would be more believable, and then you don't have to explain your BS simplified one.
What do you think it is? If you had to venture a guess, you've seen these videos. I've sent you a couple. There's that pyramid one as well, that recent
Yeah,
one.
that one
What
was
did you
good.
think about that one?
I honestly, I believe in aliens. I don't have any doubt that there are aliens. I think why wouldn't there be other travelers to other planets? I mean, we travel within our planets. If we had the technology to leave our planet and go to a different one, which we kind of do, we're not precise at it right now, but we do travel just for the F sake of it, where,
Yeah.
hey, let's go check out this rock and see if this rock is inhabitable. I mean, how many different planets have we been to now? Only three that we know of that we talk about, but I'm sure we have had probes on different planets that we don't talk about, that the government doesn't tell you about.
They did a pass by of Saturn. We got all those great pictures of Saturn when the satellite, passed by on its way out and bye bye forever. But we were getting those last pictures. I think even Neptune maybe. But it, a planet of that size made out of gas, we've got to be wondering what we can mine from it as well.
Or even not even
Resources.
exactly. I was gonna say not even mining. I mean,
Even
just
mining resources.
just
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
using the gases for fuel instead of fossil fuels, like
Yeah.
making ourselves non-codependent on fossil fuels. How cool would that be?
Yeah. I think that should be the ultimate goal. Star Trek. I'm
Yeah,
not saying I'm a Star Trekkie. I love Star Trek. I like anything creative, and it was one of the first expounded universes when it comes to media. Honestly, Star Trek it started out as a TV series, and then the next one that they did was 200 years in the future, right? 100 years in the
right.
future. So
Yeah.
it was one of the first. Star Trek and Star Wars are the two first expanded universes, really. you
Yeah,
know
absolutely. I mean, I think too, like capitalism at its best. Like, if we're gonna go to a planet or use up our planet, why shouldn't we do that in some other desolate planet? You know what I mean? Like, if we go there and we all go, hey, whoever's first there gets the mineral rights. Like, I mean, what's to stop everybody from exploring those? Like, I don't feel any bad if say if Russia was the richest company and or richest country, excuse me, and had all the mineral rights to the moon, that they controlled all the silicone based stuff. It's like, who cares? They still have to sell it to someone, and they have to make it affordable, so it doesn't matter.
and at some point, when things are just so abundant, then things just, I mean, at some point, if all resources everywhere are just so abundant, yeah, I mean, if we could mine from just other planets and then, try to save this one, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
this one already has so much tectonic shift and stuff. This boat's rocking on its own.
right. I mean, it's like you're saying, like if something becomes so abundant, like if all of a sudden salt water was now a resource that could be used, like
It is, but
I know, but I'm saying like used for things that we normally don't use,
yeah.
fossil fuels or producing more oxygen, something like that. Like, think of how many countries would try to claim their seas and their oceans because they have, water lines that are or earth lines that are next to them. It's ridiculous that they don't even think of that sort of a thing. They're just like, oh well, if we go to this planet, someone's got to claim the land of it. It's stupid to me. I've never understood that. Like, even the whole planting the flag on the moon, like that doesn't claim it by any rights. Like we don't use those rights in on Earth. Why would you think that that's a thing? You know.
Yeah.
And if that's a thing, also, I feel like aliens probably have already claimed it. So.
There's, I think my wife was telling me about this place in the Middle East. I think I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's very near Egypt, where it's contentious land where nobody will claim it for multiple reasons. But because of that, it is the only place in the world where nobody also disputes if you go and you put a flag up, claim it as your own.
They're like, good, you can have it.
But what it means is it's almost like a gimmick to the area. Everybody goes and plants a flag in this
You might as
place,
well, right?
and gets a picture. I claim this land for me, and then they say, okay, this was a vacation well spent. Let's go home. Because
Right.
it doesn't mean that you own anything or can, you know what I mean? It's still like. I guess I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but you got to imagine if a place where no one sends the police out there either.
A futile effort kind of a thing, huh?
If it's a no man's land, must be fun, but maybe anyone could just be there.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd love to go put my sovereign nation flag on there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right. Sovereign citizen.
Try to get some tax write off or something, some sort of way. Like no. I am from the nation of this 1 by 1 square mile of land that nobody wants.
That's the one place the aliens are gonna land because they're like,
Yeah,
nobody wants this spot, and so we
Exactly.
feel like it's the only place we can go.
or it's gonna be the joke on us. That's where like this rare mineral is under. You know what I mean? The only thing that you can use for time travel, and they're gonna
Yeah,
land there and be like,
exactly.
"How come you guys don't use unobtainium?
Exactly. I mean, it's all over the place.
It's been here this whole time. You guys don't use this mineral? That's crazy. That's how we've been traveling from planet to planet. If you don't even have to dig it up. It just floats in the air.
It's like
You
the
just
song
gotta,
Hedgehog Rings from the movie.
yeah. You
It's like,
just,
what are these rings? This is how intelligent people go from planet to planet. It was funny.
right, exactly.
I think that maybe UFOs are more interdimensional, popping in and out, or even just sometimes maybe they're not all the same thing. I think some are aliens from another planet who have got here one way or the other.
Well, yeah, I don't limit it to being an actual like them needing a fuel source. I think of it needing like they could bend space and time. So why would they need a fuel source? They just bend space and time. Bang, they're here now.
Right?
You know what I mean? And pop in and out. You know, not so much. I don't know about interdimensionally. I guess it's kind of like if they could do that, I think they would go back and try to fix things to suit themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. That's just human imperfect, stupid thinking, you know,
Yeah.
or greed, or capitalist greed again.
I think that capitalist greed should work, but I still don't think that people are doing it right. I mean, there was, and I wish I could remember his name. There was a professor of ethics, right? And he was at Yale, I believe, or Harvard, one of the two. I mean, and honestly, in America, that's the two.
One of the Ivy Leagues, yeah.
One of the, like the big Ivy Leagues, and I remember seeing an interview with him where he said that he said that basically it's wrong to have any criminalization on drugs at all because I might be misquoting him a little bit. The way I understood it is basically it's the government's job to make sure that whatever the people want, like it's just not a bad version. Like there was a time
It's a
when the
safe
most
version of
heavily-
that.
Yeah, there was a time when the most heavily exported thing in the world was opium. Everybody got it. Everybody got it. But there was also no stigma surrounding it. You know.
Well, I mean,
It
look at snuff and all that from the 1800s up. It's cocaine.
and powdered tobacco.
Yeah,
sometimes a mix, sometimes one or the other, sometimes just tobacco. I've had tobacco snuff. Have you ever had that?
I've never tried. No.
It. At one time, I had a friend from Canada, and he was so excited that he found it because it's not available in Canada, and it's here in America. And I was like, I've never even. And I was like, I guess of course they still make it. And he's like, come on, have a toot. And I was like,
It's kind of like beech nut. Like you can't buy it here. You can only buy it in Africa because it's like, super, super addictive and like,
beech nut? You mean,
yeah.
I think because I've got cola nut.
It's different. No, beech nut is
Beech
like,
nut.
it's and it has some of the properties of cocaine. It's kind of like how you can like have cocaine leaves and like how they use it in like South America where they chew it like in high
Yeah.
altitudes, that
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But beech nut is almost like their tobacco down there. So they'll like
Gotcha.
strip the bark off of it and then chew it and put it like almost like dip like in their lip, and they'll walk around with it, and it's to keep like your mind not running on how hot it is and how arid you're in, and like it's still a narcotic, but it's not like a high super processed narcotic, you know what I mean?
I mean that's how I chewed cola nut. You chew it up and
Oh,
you hold it there because it's just caffeine and theobromine. Theobromine is the other substance in cocoa beans. So there's caffeine and theobromine. Theobromine is actually the chemical compound in chocolate that is bad for dogs.
oh, interesting.
So theobromine, that's why dogs cannot have cola nut either because it's high in theobromine. And
Oh.
yeah. Da-dun-dun. Now I know. I'll make one of those. Yeah, it's coming up for another stream.
Right. Soundbite there.
Right? Da-dun-dun. More you know. But don't take my word for it.
But don't exactly.
Copyright though, you know what I mean? Maybe
I
I'm allowed to
wonder.
do
I
it.
mean, maybe it's been long enough,
Maybe. I
It's
mean,
kind of like the whole Nintendo thing.
I
Oh,
would
I'm
write
sorry,
a letter.
not beech nut, beetle nut. I'm sorry,
Beetle nut,
Betel.
right?
Yeah, beetle nut. I'm sorry, not beech nut.
Betel, right?
Betel. Yeah, beetle nut.
Betel nut. Yeah.
Betel nut. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I've not had that. I've had bitter cola. Bitter cola
Really?
is another one. So bitter cola, I think that might be similar because is it like the little round nut and then like it's got
Yeah.
like the bark? Yeah, I've had
Yep.
that. And
It almost looks like an almond. You know how like an almond husk
yeah,
looks before you,
yeah, you can
like.
get those here. I was
No, you
writing.
can't. They
Then
don't
it must
let
be
you.
different. Okay, it must
They
be.
don't sell them here. Well, it's you might be able to buy them. Obviously, you can buy anything
Yeah,
in America, but you're not supposed to be able to bring them over here.
that's interesting. That is definitely new information to me. And if anyone's wondering, we do take calls. That thing that is the QR code. That's a call now. You know what I should have? Oh yeah, I have this great idea. I have this great idea, and it involves me making something that says call now.
Also, if we're wrong, please call in because it's
Or
that kind
type,
of a.
yeah, in the chat. Let us
Or
know.
type in. Yeah, let us know.
That should work. I tested it. The only thing I didn't test was dropping my keyboard and deleting a bunch of settings like words and prompts, scene changes. But I said I didn't need any of that stuff anyway.
All right, not essential.
Because this is the main idea really is kind of like a raw. We're gonna keep chatting about interesting subjects. Bigfoot's gonna come up, the
Ah, yes.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, beast of the muddy rivers, all these different names. People who go squatching.
Squatchers. Yeah.
If anyone's a squatcher out there, I'd like to talk to you. I mean, write us, send us something.
Shoot us a DM. Shoot us a
Say,
message.
hey, we put up social media everywhere. But I've never been much of a all over the place, customize everything. So I tried to do it, but I made one everywhere. We got it. So we're starting and then building.
Yeah, we're reaching out.
Yeah. I want to talk to people who see things. So I had this idea, and then as we were starting to put this together with my friend here, Elgin, who for I've known him years, and no matter what the subject, whether we disagree or not, we can always smile and laugh with each other and discuss why we would differ on it. And so, it, aliens, man. I mean, I argue with myself about it. So,
It's kind of like that meme, convince me.
yeah,
We always had that kind of approach to it, like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I believe this, convince me. And it's like, well, here we go. Let's talk about it for the next 2 hours.
I very much want to believe some things, and I've even had some very interesting encounters myself, things I can't quite explain, but things that make me think crazy things must be the explanation. You know,
I've been there myself. I had one or two of them.
I mean, and as we get deeper into show, there'll be specific things like that emerge. I'm sure. You know, it's one of those first date. Let's see how we even like you too. You know, and then
Right.
you know, maybe on the second date we can kiss.
I'm not ready to go steady.
Yeah, but I will wear your Letterman jacket tomorrow in
Exactly.
homeroom.
Exactly. I'll show off, but don't,
Yeah,
don't claim me just yet.
it makes us both look good, and we know it.
You never needed it. I should have been wearing it. I
Yeah,
don't want to do the sport or anything. I'm just saying.
yeah. Oh, and you know what? I also need to be looking at a boss loop if anyone is doing that. I wonder if comments moderation tools, if anyone is that is still continuing there. Is the Facebook one not working? Oh no, it is. Now it's refreshing. Just making sure. You know, I want to make sure that the attempt is to go out and be live everywhere, and so we can maybe see if anybody wants to talk about aliens today.
Yeah, please reach out. It'd be
Uh,
great.
on the Instagram, you put up a pic, and it really got us thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah, that was a funny pic of that mask. I found it in actually an antique shop. It's called the Las Vegas Peddlers Shop. They have all the like oddities and weird things too inside of there. It basically, I mean, it has a picture of like mermaids on it and like dolphins, but it had the same shape, like you were saying. The shape reminded you of Independence Day, of the aliens on that. It reminded me of the shape from Stargate. Those guys,
Yes,
which
Stargate.
like that same like head shape, and it's just funny that even those are two alien creatures. They're all
Yeah,
like based from Earth. You know what I mean? Like
very
they're
Earth-based.
they're Earth based. Like they came here. They were enslaving humans at one, or should have been enslaving humans, and we beat them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? All the movies are always like that, which I think are funny too. Like, oh, we have interplanetary travel, but we get beat by these swarthy non-planetary monkeys. You know what I mean? Like,
well, War of the Worlds was that they are not immune to our disease, which it
right, catch a
makes
common cold makes
that
sense.
that does make sense, but except one thing, these are supposedly like creatures that know about traveling through space. They didn't think that maybe different bioorganisms are going to be different. Like,
Well, if you break it down like you're saying, I know me personally, I traveled very much continentally and internationally all over the place. Every time you go to a place that's not where you're from, you have to get shots because you will get sick and die from the simplest mosquito bite.
yeah,
So you trying to tell me that an alien traveling from another planet doesn't have any sort of shots or any sort of like, hey, you going to planet Earth? Well, we sent a probe there and they have a common cold. Be careful.
they've got this thing that's not very fun for us.
Right? You will get the snivels and the snivels will kill you.
I think, yeah, I think that they would think about that. That would be like, that's got to be thing number one to think of.
It's like getting your passport or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have you had your immunization shots to go to Earth? Well, then you can't. Then you can't go. Like, you're gonna get sick and die. They have the cold and the flu there.
They've got so much.
They barely broke through COVID last year. What makes you think?
Man, I know, right? Do you think they talk about it too? You think do you think the aliens are talking about it? Like, can you believe that it took them all this time, or what they're doing? I don't have an opinion on anything, being safe today. But yeah, so yeah, do you think the aliens talk about that shit too? Can like watch them scramble?
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe they do it? They come down here and it's like one of them that goes, "Hey, I'm gonna take a piss on the water supply," and that's why.
Yeah, and now look at us. Yeah,
so,
Flint, Michigan, all over again.
we're not here just to hear new conspiracy theories or things you've experienced. I'm hoping to start a few new ones myself.
Stir them up, exactly.
Yeah,
the pot's been simmering. Let's make it boil.
Why stop here? Come on. So much more imagination to inject into reality. I'm ready.
Yeah, life's too short to have just a simple story. That's dumb.
Talking aliens right now. You have any special cases, favorite cases throughout history that you've enjoyed?
Oh man, actually, I was going to talk about one that I experienced to me. I can't remember the movie right now, or the name of the movie. I'll have to look it up. But it was a movie where the aliens would come to the home, and like the predecessor to knowing that the alien would come would be an owl, and I think it's called a fifth. Yes,
Fifth Kind. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it was all right. No, it was not bad.
I went and saw it, and I remember this like it was yesterday, which is funny. I went and saw it on a Friday, and I lived out in an area that was pretty well developed, but there was some area that had some desert, like kind of near my house. And I went and saw it super late at night with my wife at the time, and woke up at like 3 a.m. to a big thud outside my door where we had a balcony. Walk outside, and there is a 4-foot owl, which in
4-foot owl,
which in Vegas doesn't exist.
I don't know.
Well,
where a 4-foot owl exists. I mean,
in my mind,
sure. Wingspan, sure, but are you talking about head to feet, standing tall?
Now, when I say 4-foot owl, I'm talking in fear terms. It probably was nowhere near there, but the tears in my eyes kind of put a convex lens on what I could see. The thing had razor knife talons, and he was holding a gun for all I knew. But anyways, it was.
What movie got me? Is the Babadook. I don't know how.
Really? My kids watch that movie. They love that movie.
It was a dream that night, and then the next day a bad vibe and like a knock on the door from a windy day. I was not fucking having it, man.
It's funny how movies will stir that up in your head because you're using your own imagination to make it real.
That's all it is. It's going on in your head.
Total story you've heard, and it's not real, but that one little bit of realism that actually was part of the story becomes real now in real life. It's happening.
And now oh no, and it can happen to even me.
It's like every kid searching through pine tar for a mosquito after Jurassic Park came out.
I still hope to find a mosquito in amber. I'm going to make a cane. I'm not going to do anything else with it. I just want to have a cane with it was like nice bamboo.
Yeah, it was cane. perfect egg shape.
Nice egg shape with a
like,
giant mosquito.
Yeah, that's a lot of amber. What tree got cut down? Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was a petrified tree as well. Don't forget that. They had that mine and turn it into petrified dust.
Right? Yeah. Ridiculous.
So that is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, that was one that actually got to me. Another one was in Close Encounters, that movie got to
Of
me.
the third kind.
Oh, the third kind, yeah, the
That's a
original
great
one.
yes.
That one got to me because my family, we watched it, and then we went driving through on our way actually to Lubbock, Texas,
Really?
and yeah, and there was like the clouds like in the movie, and with all the lights and like the lightning going off, and I was like, oh my god. My dad's like, no, it's not. That's not what's happening. It was just lightning, you know. And I'm like, oh, it's a thing. It's happening.
That's hilarious.
I was only 6 in my defense, but still, it's real.
I remember driving from Las Vegas to Phoenix, Arizona, and it was the middle of the night, and and this is just 2 years ago, and there's the Phoenix Lights incident and everything. As I'm driving in, there was like these lights in the sky, and it did kind of look like flares, I guess. Now, when I know that we were coming from the north, obviously, Vegas to Phoenix, right? We're coming north to south. So the flares in the military, which is what they were saying those lights were initially, but everyone says those were the lights of a gigantic triangular thing that blocked out everything behind it, and
Right.
flares don't happen above our city.
Well, flares also move with the wind, so.
And that's what I was thinking, what maybe it is I saw, because it looked like fire, but it looked like it came down and then went back up and went back up. So I don't know. Is it like rockets that purposely go back up or something? Position. Okay, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it looked like it was flaming as it came in. Coming down, and that guy that I went down there with for it was for training. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
On that trip, we were both like, "Are you see? Yeah. What the fuck?
Is it just me that it's more scary when someone else is seeing it with you? By myself, I'm just like, oh no, I'm crazy. I start stirring it up in my mind, like, yeah, it's just me. It's me. My imagination's making me do this. I enjoy that sort of stuff. But when someone else is like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Then I get afraid.
It was insane. I wasn't afraid. I think, and again, I remember when I was a little kid. Here's a little bit about us too. Kind of an intro to us, episode 1. Why are we interested in this? I know, for me, part of my story, I remember being a little kid, and I have a weird memory for things that society would usually deem unimportant. Like when I was 4 years old, I remember the news where a guy who had a shadowed out face, with the name Dennis, was talking about working at Area 51, and now it turns out it's Bob Lazar. I remember that. I was interested. I remember when my parents said when I was 10, we're going to move to Las Vegas. And I was like, I don't want to move away. We're all from my friends. Wait, Vegas? 10 years old. And I was like, that's not far from Area 51. I guess there's that. Like
nice, something to talk about.
Kid, thinks about that stuff. You know what I mean? I was thinking about that. I was looking up all this stuff about Dave Adair and
oh, cool.
Do you know about him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's cool.
What do you think about him?
So
I don't know if we're thinking about the same one even. I feel like he's deep track almost.
He's very deep track. I kind of look at him like I'm trying to find who else to describe him like.
He's in a way like a Bob Lazar, but he kind of has the claim of having built this
to me,
beyond human capability engine.
Yeah, to me it's like he's so far connected that I don't want to believe him, but I want it to be true, because I'm like, he why would someone in this position not be telling the truth?
He has records that are like law like sealed, like he's not gonna let any of like these things come out until after he's no longer with us,
when he's safe.
When he's safe to release like his things. It's a very interesting story. You know?
It is. It's kind of. I was thinking there was this Bigfoot hunter guy. I know it's totally off subject, but there was this
really.
Bigfoot hunter that he was a Army Ranger, and actually me and Fitz, my other brother, we talked about this last time I saw him in right. We talked about this last time I was out there. This guy was out in the forest. This ranger guy, he was out in the forest for the government, for the military, for 15 years. They literally stationed him out in the Washington forest so he could like be up there and do like the monitoring of sounds, monitoring of temperature, and all this sort of stuff. He was an Army Ranger, scout sniper, all these like really high end stuff, and he started to hear sounds of Sasquatch.
Really?
Yeah, and so when he started to tell them like, hey, there's this creature walking around, like I've been tracking him for years, like you guys really need to send some people out here, I've been tracking him around. They started to like, at first it was like, no, you're crazy, whatever, you're nuts, you're going nuts. And then after the next couple of years, they're like, hey, there's something with this guy, like let's send someone out. And those people started to corroborate his story and were like, yeah, there's something going on. And then they just buried him. They literally like moved him out of there, moved his family to the other side of the country, and were like, here, you're retired and you make great money. You live in Florida now, nowhere near Sasquatch. Yeah. And then he was so well connected that he was like, well, I want to write a book about my experiences. And he started to write his book. And then all of a sudden, the publishing company that he was going to write it through gets called out for fraud and tax evasion, so they close down the publishing. Then he goes to a audiobook place. This is in the 80s, by the way, 80s 90s, and he goes to an audio place to get his book put on actual cassette disc back then, and they get all his information on tape, and then surprisingly the building catches fire, so all of his audio stuff gets burned. Like every time this guy goes to put his truth out, something super catastrophic comes and destroys it. It was like that, where he was so high up and so well connected and so believable, and there were so many people that were saying like, yeah, we've heard this, that they were just trying to bury him at all costs. Eventually, he died in a car crash, but eventually that's exactly what they say. Like they just ended up having to kill the guy because he was the Sasquatch guy.
The Sasquatch guy. Now, did you see that movie, The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot?
I haven't seen it, but I love that main actor. He's awesome.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. I love that dude's voice.
And absolutely every day I think to myself, I should take up that wonderful throat voice deepening habit, but I'm not gonna, because it tastes good and makes you remember things better doesn't mean it's good for you.
If there was ever a reason to smoke, it would be to sound like Sam Elliott.
Exactly. I mean,
cancer be damned, I sound amazing. I'll read the phone book to you.
I'll let every picture for the rest of my life be like Winston Churchill. You know what I mean? If I get to have a deep and resounding voice like Sam Elliott, well, I guess them's the breaks.
I want him and James Earl Jones to read my eulogy. That's all I'm asking. It's not a lot.
And that really goes along with the whole, having someone there who's famous at the funeral to be like, how did they even know each other?
Well, you could do it by cameo now, you know what I mean? So I guess in theory,
you can buy a cameo.
You could buy the cameo. Just if he's on there, you could be like, hey, just read this, and then they could just play it at your funeral. I wonder how expensive it is. That's something I gotta look into, man. Yeah, put that on my will. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Could you imagine all our friends? How did Elgin know Sam Elliott? And he knew him well enough to have him read his eulogy? Wow.
I can't believe he never introduced us, because he knows I love him. He knows this. He knew this. Don't make me think about that. All right?
You're more mad about that than me dying.
It's a toss-up right now, honestly. I mean, Sam fucking Elliott Elgin Come on, you should have known better. I thought we were closer friends than this.
I've known you
You
for
know?
years and you don't even introduce me. I'm glad you're dead, you bastard.
I mean, let me just put it this way. I spend hours in the mirror trying to feather my mustache just to look like maybe it can look like just the natural way he has it one day. Like my hopes and aspirations just have half the mustache.
The regal mustache of his,
The
yeah.
majesty that
Exactly.
is. Did he ever do an alien movie? I'm trying to think. Like,
I don't know.
let's see. I mean, a lot of people do an alien movie. How about that new Tomorrow World one? You know,
I didn't mind that one as much. I
I
mean,
thought it was pretty good.
it was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was one of the only problem with me is like Thai movies always get kind of messed up. There was only one movie, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on it, that I loved up until like the last probably 20 minutes when they were like, it felt like the writers were just like, we give up. Do you remember what movie that is that I felt that way?
Oh man, I thought you were gonna go somewhere else, but then I give up at the end.
It was Lucy.
Oh, I didn't feel like that was a time travel movie.
That movie was fun. It had time travel wrapped up in it. Not specifically a time travel movie, but had time travel wrapped up in it to the point where I was like, it's making sense, but at the last 20 minutes they're just like, nah, we give up.
So what I understood was that she was evolving into a creature that was damn near omniscient, omnipresent, all-knowing. She was basically evolving into a quantum computer, which is, when they talk about what a quantum computer is, it basically sounds like the knowledge of God that people talk about in religion, something that will know the answer as you're asking the question in a ridiculous thing, not like Quora, of course. The number one place.
Good movie too.
Yeah. Oh no. I was talking about Quora on. The
Oh, yeah. No, never mind. Quora. Yeah, okay. I was like, that was a good movie though. I like that one.
Which
I was thinking Cora, the claymation movie.
Coraline.
Oh yeah. Coraline, excuse me. Yeah.
This is my dog Jet, who is demanding my attention. He's a good guy, when he's sleeping. Other than that, he's a bit of a terror. So, that other Travis Walton, that's what I was thinking. Going back to me seeing something in the sky and how I react. I don't react in fear. I always remember also one of the first, cases I heard about was Travis Walton. And Travis Walton, again, Snowflake, Arizona. You know about him?
No, I'm looking him up right now, actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know the movie Fire in the Sky.
So it's not nearly like 100%. Basically, like kind of the depiction of like what happened. Not really, not everything. They kind of left out some people, made one person different name, kind of stuff.
Okay.
But, they did Hollywoodize it, and they
Of
really
course, you got to
did.
make it better.
Well, that's Hollywood, right? Your story.
It's good, but let's zhuzh it up,
We're gonna make it scarier.
Exactly.
It sounds.
You got a little kookyism in there. Let me zhuzh it up and make it frightening or gripping to the feeble mind.
Now, you got to imagine if it actually happened to you, right? It actually happened to you. And Travis Walton is one person I wholeheartedly believe. Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I've done a lot of research. I mean, I like there's a Travis Walton, hands down. I mean, it's the same story. It's not even, he doesn't even show up until his friends are being investigated for his murder, and they're the ones who say what they saw. I mean, it's either like this big conspiracy that How does the story go to? He was gone for 5 days,
Yeah,
and
I'm looking at it now.
he had like what, like a month
5 days and
beard or
6 hours.
something.
Yeah,
He had like a
came.
month beard.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
What's also crazy,
Traveling near the speed of light, maybe. I don't know.
forestry worker too. Work.
Forestry,
I mean, out
again.
out where nobody is, you know. Nobody is, nobody should be, you know.
Luckily, the people around got it out to the news so that it became such a huge story that we all know about him.
What's
Because
that?
maybe then you couldn't just get rid of a guy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I was gonna say maybe it's that thing that happens, you know, when you start telling so many of your friends at the bar and everywhere else that people start believing you because you keep telling the same exact story over and over and over, to the point where people are like, hey, every time we see Travis, he brings up this UFO story where he was gone, and
Well, it's not even like that. It's more like the whole town was wondering where he was, and now anywhere he goes, that's all. That's the only conversation anyone will have with him, or any conversation he tries to have. I'm sure they just try to turn it into, okay, thanks for telling me about how your day's been. Really, I just wanted to know, what was it like. I'm sure that's what it's like. It's got to be
it's
hell. It's got to be
it's
horrible.
yeah,
I've,
it's
I've heard
crazy
him
too.
say
Like,
if he could go back, it wouldn't have happened.
yeah, I was
He
just
could live a
reading
normal
that
life.
actually. He was saying that this is on Wikipedia, the stupidest website ever, but
Yeah.
obviously can be
Grain
changed.
of
But
salt. Grains of
exactly,
salt. Pounds of salt.
there's another one that's showing his on his personal website where he was saying that he didn't never wanted to tell this story. There was actually 6 other people with him that drove away in fear, and he was like trying to get them to corroborate his story and say, hey, this is what's going on, and none of them would because they were also afraid.
No,
And then
they all did. They all did. They were all being investigated for his murder because he disappeared. So he was gone. He wasn't there.
he got
And
he
they were
got taken there.
investigating a
Saying,
missing persons, and they said, you guys all went out there. You guys are going. You're out there with axes, right? And
and he passed polygraph tests and everything else.
polygraph test. He
That's
passed.
crazy.
People tried to say he was on drugs, but they did a
National
tox
Enquirer
screen
even
as soon
went.
as he
Yeah,
came
wow.
back. Nothing like he's one of the most legit
That's
cases of all time, and I believe Bob Lazar too.
me
But
too.
but honestly, Travis Walton is just like almost above and going along with that, what they accused Travis Walton. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe he was also accused, and I don't believe this, that oh well, not too long ago, the Betty and Barney Hill story was on TV. He must have watched it, and that's where he got the idea. Which is what they said about the Betty and Barney Hill
Yeah, they
case.
talk
They
about that
said
in this too.
when they happen. By the way, I mean, I have my opinion on Betty and Barney Hill. They are the most. Yeah, they definitely, it happened to them. Oh, they got abducted. Those
Yeah,
poor
they were
people.
taken. They were
They were
taken.
taken, hands down.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, I mean, my opinion, 1963, man. You know what I mean?
The best time to take someone when there is no Facebook, Instagram, social, blah 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 blah. Unless you read it in your newspaper, which your newspaper ain't printing
I mean,
that.
it was national news. I mean, look, 1963 is before the civil rights movement, right?
Right.
An interracial couple doesn't want to be in the news.
They don't want to be in the news.
Anything.
Yeah, don't tell anybody we were around each other,
you know
let
what I
alone
mean?
taken by the aliens.
Taken by the aliens, right? Come on, like there's not, and he had horrible anxiety for the rest of his life, panic attacks from it. Like
Which you would think you would.
crazy. Not him crazy. I mean, the situation, obviously. I
Yeah, of
absolutely
course.
believe that it happened to him. You know what I mean? And my wonder is it exactly that kind of a physical entity? Is it kind of like, driving through like a shimmer that, like you're all of a sudden in kind of, not to make everything like it's a movie. And that is kind of a problem in our world where everything gets related to movies. And so, whatever is real, I don't think it's like a movie, but perhaps something similar to driving into a mirror universe for a quick second, you know, a Mandela effect for a quick, but it's so different. Like your brain has to interpret it, you know?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like your imagination has to view it in some sort of way. So if it views it like how we view in the movies, makes some sense.
Usually you base you base your understanding of what you take in
It's just your visualization of it. You know what I mean?
from as best you can. And so everybody, at least nowadays, draws aliens with big gray heads and big black eyes because for the last 50, 60 years, we've been given that
Well,
image.
also, like you were saying, it's got that Hollywood zhuzh on it. If aliens came down, they look like me and you'd be like, are those aliens? You know what I mean? Or are those just illegal aliens?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's Alien Nation.
Yeah, great show. Yeah.
As soon as you said illegal aliens, I said that was a great show. It
Quasi-humanoid, yeah?
the Mandy Patinkin and James Caan, two
Yeah, yeah.
phenomenal actors. Mandy Patinkin, man, Mandy Patinkin, one of my number one actors of all time. So the guy who played the alien, you know, Sam Francisco, right?
Was it really?
That
I
was
never
the
caught on
alien's
to
name
that.
because when they took on you know, human names, they were it was kind of like an Ellis Island situation.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
You got it.
I didn't pick up on that until you just said it. I was like, they were in San Francisco. Like,
Exactly. You
That's
know,
funny.
I can't pronounce that. Welcome, Mr. Blah blah blah. You know.
Right.
So, yeah, he's out there, and that is also the exact same actor who was Nago Montoya. You kill my father, prepare to die.
Right.
And I mean, he can dance, he can sing, he can sword fight, he can fence. He can be an alien who eats raw beaver. You can't believe
Raw
that
beaver.
we pass it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't believe I remember so much about that movie. It's insane.
What was the other dude's
really
name?
James Caan?
Terrence Stamp.
Terrence Stamp. Terrence Stamp.
That
was the bad
dude.
guy in that. Love Terrence
Yes.
Stamp.
Love that guy in so many different movies, man. He's so
Yeah.
cool.
Terrence Stamp. I mean, even and this one isn't a sci-fi movie, but you know, honestly, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You know, talk about like good classic Australian films. Anyway,
Yeah.
I can't think about too much like film that from like old Australia. That like that's kind of like one of the things that gave them notoriety. Like that, like they did a really great film, and then I think that kind of helped them boost their filming and everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's in a lot of things actually.
And then I think it was after that they made Mad Max. Was it about the same time?
I don't know actually.
I'm not sure.
Let me see.
Yeah,
1994
94
is when
Priscilla?
Adventures of Priscilla. Yeah.
Oh well, then yeah, that's well after. I mean, what 84 for Mad Max?
Let me see here. 1994. Alien Nation was 1988. So 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years in between.
6 years in between those two.
Yeah. Mad Max,
So,
I don't.
Mad Max, though, I think that was what? I think that might have been 84. 84 was a big year for movies. It might have been, 70
see.
something, isn't it? Yeah, it's like 70s. 79,
I think so, Mad Max, let me
78,
see.
79?
Yeah, you're right. 79. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 88, 79, right in there.
Yeah.
Every 6 years, this guy comes out with an amazing movie.
Right. Every few years.
He's got a real good face about him. There's a lot of actually actors that have faces like that, like in Alien movies, that they continue to use over and over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would kind of suck to get typecast like that, but it'd be kind of cool to have that. You know what I mean? Because you always have work. It's like that guy from oh man, I can't remember his name. Man, I have to think about it. I can't remember his name, but he's in a bunch of movies where he kind of has this like weird, almost almost misshapen face, and he is in a lot of movies where he's just the bad guy.
Are we talking about? And I may have shown you him. He was the bad guy in the Dr. Mordred film, but he was also the alien assassin from X-Files. He's got a very rigid face, quite possibly.
No, you're thinking the guy with the really strong chin line, right?
Yes, yes.
No, not that guy.
I mean, he could play Batman, if not just be doing that.
Right,
Yeah.
no, not that guy, not that guy. There's another guy, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to, I'll find him later, of course, when I'm not thinking about him. But he kind of looks like he has a little bit of like something wrong with his face. I don't want to say a syndrome of any sort, but he has that sort of look where you're just like, man, something's up with that guy. And then when you see him, he's from a lot of 80s movies.
Yes, he was in The Guyver. He was in,
Let me look him up.
I know exactly what you mean. But
You said Guyver, you think?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. And we're back.
Hello and welcome.
I believe we found the name of that actor.
Oh yes, let me pull him up. The Guyver guy.
I
Let
think
me
it's
see.
Michael. It pops in my mind as a Michael something, but I may be wrong.
Let me see.
I definitely think I may be wrong.
I don't see him out here.
So
Mark, funny, I didn't know Mark Hamill was in The Guyver, but
Mark, of course, Mark Hamill.
oh, you're thinking Michael Berryman.
Michael Berryman. Yes.
Okay, that guy. Yes, you're also right. He is in a lot of movies. Yes,
He's a phenomenal actor, though. I mean,
phenomenal.
He's really
Yeah, I was gonna say phenomenal actor. He was in a comedian movie or a comedy movie too, where he did really funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
or did really well. Excuse me.
It's one of those things like even anyone can become a character actor, really. You know what I mean? There's the guy who he's in Harry Potter. He's one of my favorite actors. I'm mad at myself for forgetting his name right now. I remember a lot of the character names he played. He was Argus Filch in Harry Potter, right? The guy who was basically not a wizard, but he was the janitor of the school, and he was always And then the one episode, the one
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
the one
Okay, I
movie
pulled
where
him
like,
up.
yeah, the bad lady takes over. He just loves like doing, everything for the bad lady, whatever she wants.
Yeah, that guy is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I've liked him. He played Doctor Who in kind of like this special that they made.
Oh, really?
Because he also very much looks like the original first Doctor. You know,
Well, I guess so.
um,
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
when he's done up to look like
David Bradley is his name.
David Bradley, a great actor. I mean, he's in Moon Knight too, as the non-speaking guy. The guy,
Sure is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're right.
he's so recognizable, and every time he's in something else, I'm always stoked. Oh, and you know who else? James Wong, right?
Yeah,
Um,
James Wong. Yeah, he's good.
just ever since I was a little kid watching Big Trouble Little China,
Yeah, yeah.
and that kind of seemed like aliens and mysticism at the same time. Everything I
Yeah.
was into as a kid was aliens. Star Wars, Star Trek, Back to the Future. You know what I mean? At least you
Back
can
to
go
the
back in
Future
time
isn't
to everything.
aliens.
Close enough, man. You can go back in time, meet the aliens.
Right. Watch them seed.
Back in
Watch
time,
the,
right?
watch them seed our planet.
Mm-hmm.
Little Prometheus dust for you.
Exactly. I mean, who knows? Who absolutely knows how it went? I'd like to find out. I had this crazy dream.
I'd
and
rather not know. Is that weird? That's something I've always thought of too. Is it weird that I don't want to know?
I don't think it's important to know. I don't think it. I don't think it. I don't think knowing the truth of the universe. I don't think that or like having that ultimate answer. I don't think it adds anything to the life of a human being. I think that if we just
feel like
focused on a happy life right here, right now, then I don't think anybody would worry about each other's neighbor enough to like make laws about what other people fucking do. I've just never had time.
I feel like having that mystery makes you focus on something else.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're doing or focus on that mystery, trying to find it out, which means if you're trying to find it out, you're working towards something.
You have a student's mentality in that you don't think that
You're trying
done
to
learning.
learn.
You don't
Yeah,
think
you're trying to
done
learn.
learning.
Exactly.
I've never wanted to stop, and I'm not a very good student. I am bad at every time I go back to school. It's ADD, ADHD, and everything. I only got an A, and I actually got not just 100%, but more than 100% in only one class in high school. You know which one it was?
Oh, in high school?
In high school. So
That would have to,
I mean,
that would have to be culinary arts.
No. Oh, I did so bad. We went to,
Really?
Here's an interesting tidbit about Elgin and I. We went to a vocational technical high school. Vocational technical, you got to pick the thing, and I don't remember exactly how. I don't remember exactly. I don't think I wanted to be in culinary. I think I wrote it down as a joke because I think my first pick was to be in carpentry the next year as a junior with my senior class friends Elgin and earlier mentioned Fitz, also named Jason. So they're two friends that were one grade older than me. They were gonna be. So I had carpentry class, and I think I was just like, fuck it, and then and then they ended
Second
it.
choice, and then you ended up getting it.
They ended up fucking not just your grade, your class, but me and anyone else who wrote down. We all got fucked into a secondary, right? It was like planned.
Yep.
It was planned.
Well, they knew that they were going to close that down, and they just didn't want to tell anybody because all the people who had signed up, there was literally like a couple hundred people that signed up for that class, and when we all found out when we got there, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to have it for your senior year." We're like, "What? Why would you let us do it for our junior year then? Like, we can't even get accredited now. Like, what the heck?" It was terrible. Yeah, it was a stupid.
That was, but no. Oh, anyway, back to the root of this. The only class I got an A in ever was government and economics.
Oh, weird.
And I remember everyone, and I always had a hard time with classes because it's like they give you this one book, and it's like I've always done my own research into things. So when I have taught myself, and I did homeschool at one point, like ADD before knowing you have ADD. My mom
Right.
tried
Before it was a
homeschooling
thing.
me before. I mean, it was a thing, but it's just, oh, well, he just doesn't get along, or or he can't stop making jokes and blah blah blah. But like,
Your kid's a class clown.
yeah, you know what I mean. I actually got most mischievous in my senior year.
I don't. I don't think that's where you're supposed to hang your hat, but hey.
I don't know where the hat's supposed to be hung, but if there's any accolades that I've actually got, I mean that may be
Right? Take your flowers, bro. I don't knock you for it.
And I mean, I've been staring at fucking screen so long. This is much better. So yeah, most mischievous was interesting. I remember I said to everyone in one class. Somebody came by in one class and said, "Oh, hey, everyone, fill this out." And the one class I was in, I just said, "Hey, everyone, write me down for most mischievous," and they just went, "All right."
Fair enough.
Like, again, in the class I was in, those were the only people who really like knew me. So I wonder who the hell else voted for most mischievous at all, because I could have only got a couple. Like nobody knew me.
Right.
And I thought that was even better.
You ran at unopposed.
I thought no one knew me at least. At least I had the one class I knew, which was only like 15, 16 people too. We had a small class. How many people? It wasn't like a 30, 40 pack tight, but, again, only talking about this high school because of how close it is to Area 51.
Again, right?
And we went there, and that's part
back
of how
to the
we met,
epicenter.
yeah. Aliens. I want aliens to be real. I want them to come down.
What would you say would be the best part of finding out that aliens were real? Like what do you think that the aliens would be like, "Hey, here's what we bring to your society"?
I mean, as much as his plans for American economics is not at all the way to go, good old Ronald Reagan, president, he said too many times, like, hey, it's kind of crazy how many times that the president of the United States just would just kind of take a pause. And, I just can't stop thinking about how much if a force outside of this planet was threatening the Earth, how much we'd all realize that our borders don't mean anything anymore, and how we'd all hopefully band together as one people. And it's like, don't get me wrong, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to say, but like he would kind of like have a space out moment where like, he really was being honest. I can't stop thinking about aliens and how maybe that's the only thing that'll make all the planet act like brother and sister. And I mean, I just have one easy philosophy for why everyone should just get along. It's because you can go to like the most remote part of any part of whatever that, of anywhere where like there's a tribe who does not want to be, they know we've got they know we've got planes now. Even it's not like,
Yeah, they see them.
They get it. They get it. We're doing stuff. Okay.
Right.
They don't want it. You know what I mean? And they're secluded and everything. You can still take a person from a human being from a secluded, they haven't really interacted, and then go to the opposite side of the planet. And you can think about it as slightly different evolution or anything. I mean, again, I really do believe that there was accidental germ warfare when when Europe came to the New World. I don't think that they, you would have been burned at the stake if you believed in such a thing as germs and viruses. Ooh.
Tiny microscopic beings.
Tiny microscopic? No. It's the devil that makes you sick, and you
devil's
don't
work,
pray
yeah.
enough. And we're telling the church about this germs that you talk about. and your science. You know, that's how they would be. These people, when they came over to America, yeah, were they absolutely filthy and filth ridden, and they had bits of the plague? Yeah, because they
Kind of happens when
also
you live in a Mediterranean or a metropolis city, and doesn't it?
metropolis city ruled by a religious mindset that tells you bathing more than once a year is a sin. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
where
man,
you're
way
supposed to
go
wear a
really
perfume collar
hard.
instead of taking a bath.
Powdered wigs are still, you know, a thing just because it was so much a thing for so long. But the only reason it was a thing in the beginning is because it was the only thing that kept away lice.
There was no other thing,
There was
exactly.
nothing else away, and but barristers still have to wear them. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that, you know, if you get to wear one as a barrister in England, then, you know, honestly, then it's an honor to, you know, get to have that kind of a achievement. To me, I just think it's a bit interesting, the powdered wig situation continuing, but you know what I mean. In
Well,
anything, there's always hats. There's always hats. Hats always denote
exactly.
things.
I was gonna say traditions always come
Yeah,
with costumes.
and hats. You
It's always
know,
a costume to a tradition. There's no tradition where you don't wear a costume of some sort.
there's the fez, right? There's a
I mean,
fez.
there's
If you,
all
if you join the
there's all kinds of traditional garb and hats and suits and shoes and handshakes. There's always
yeah.
some costume that you got to put on to join the club. You know what I mean? You can't be a Shriner, a Catholic, whatever it happens to be, unless you wear these robes or hat or tie or whatever. There's always some dumb thing like that.
And I find that interesting because just try to trick people by to get in by just telling them it's cool and be chill.
Well, I mean, everybody wants to be included inside of the group, and if you're all wearing the same thing, now we're a group together. It's literally that simple.
Let's all get haircuts, and I'm not saying you have to be chemically or physically castrated. I'm just saying it's going to make ascension easier.
If you want, yeah, if you want to reach the ninth
And
level, I'm just saying.
I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
I am the leader, but I'm not saying you have to follow. But I am leading you to do it.
You know?
Like that's I am the leader. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but if you don't follow what I'm telling you is, you know, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's whatever choice you want.
Headphones, loving it.
But you know what I always think is funny is like for me, the biggest contribution, and this is just my like fat boy coming through, like the biggest contribution that aliens would have would be like food. Like it would
eat them.
no, not like
They
that.
would
They
be
would be
coming
food
here
that they
to
would
eat
like.
us.
No, like they would come here to give us a different type of food. Like, here's food. Here's a pill that you eat, and now all of your cravings, all of your need to have food are gone. Now what that does is eliminates 60% of greed. You know what I mean? Because it's like now you don't have to worry about eating every day, which means you don't have to have production of corn for food. You don't have to have any of that stuff that we normally worry about, food production. All that stuff goes away, gone. We don't destroy the earth. Go ahead.
It sounds. I mean, the only reason it sounds like you're talking about manna.
Essentially, yes, and essentially a mana. Yeah.
And again,
But I'm talking about a singular pill, not a continual thing.
oh, you're talking. All right. So,
Like here, we give you this pill. Boom. Now you never need to eat again.
so I had this idea. I had an idea, and obviously, as I mentioned moments ago, whenever I try to go back to school, I'm just bad at it. But anyway, besides all that, I thought if we could find a way to, like, I have mad scientist ideas anyway, so like the more knowledge I have, I like talking and knowing about concepts, but if I knew how to do things, I might be in jail, you know?
Right.
Because
It would get you in more trouble.
here's some of the things that I think about. Why do we not try to make ourselves part plant? We wouldn't have to worry about eating ever as long as we made sure the sky was up. By the way, we also breathe carbon dioxide and spit out oxygen now. Anyway, There's one thing. Also, we could start inhabiting planets like Mars. We could just kind of probably live on Mars, maybe, or something, or like maybe it's easier to have respiratory packs of like carbon dioxide. Maybe we can breathe fucking like cold, smoke that we burn and stuff. It's easier. Who fucking knows? Like, I mean, if we made ourselves part plant, how cool would that be? Sign me up. I bet you live forever too. I'll take redwood tree, right?
Right?
As long as you can figure it out, so I'm not like rooting all the time, you know?
Yeah, don't be stuck.
Yeah, and no, something like a mix of like a plant and a person photosynthesis. That makes sense. I think that if there's something that we would stop eating, there'd be some kind of evolution to where we would become like plant. I don't think it's gonna be some weird magic cure all like take this pill and your butthole's going away, you know what I mean? Like,
Belly button. We had that as kids.
button, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Or butthole. You're right.
Well,
Yeah.
butthole, because
There's no need. There's no waste. So what's the waste?
Yeah, and like if you don't need a digestive tract, you know what I mean? But then here's the other problem too. What do we need a mouth for anymore? So if we don't need to eat, then we don't need a mouth, then we only have a nose.
Well, mouth would
then
be
we have
for
a completely different
communication.
language, right?
Well, mouth would be for communication,
The only
or
reason
if
we
you,
have two things, it would be like.
it's just for making sounds. You wouldn't need a throat,
that
but
would be the thing.
well, you wouldn't need a throat, but you would need the vocal cords. So your throat would end at your vocal cords. You know what I mean? You would just need a resonating box. You know what I mean? But other than that,
Which is why our mouth is built right next to the sinuses. I don't know, man. What if it?
you don't need an esophagus. I mean,
I don't ever want to stop eating because I mean, pleasure.
oh, I love to
enjoy
eat.
it,
You know that I love to eat. I love to cook. So I hope it never happens.
good. Yeah.
But in the
You're the
same
one who brought it
regards, I know. But in the same regards, I feel like that
Now I
would
feel
be
like it's
the
like your
most.
fear. Oh no! What if they make? What if I don't have a mouth one day because the aliens fix us?
That
You
is
know what I
why
mean?
we must have our space force up and working.
And then here's the thing. It's going to be at this point in the future where everything is still so deeply integrated into customer service that you're still just going to tap a button, go to support. You're going to say, no, I'm joking. What you're typing says, hey, I used to enjoy the taste of things.
Is there any way I
Is
could
there
have
a
the
way I
taste?
can have a
Yeah.
mouth without needing the stomach to? I get what we're attempting.
Can
And
you
you're right.
eject the idea of salt
I feel
and
like something went wrong, right? And they're gonna send you back the same exact like vernacular that we get these days. They're gonna say, "Oh, that's not a bug; it's a feature."
right? Actually, it's a feature that we offer, and I'm sorry, you are not up to date.
Yeah, you're gonna have to upgrade.
What's your operating
hardware.
system? No,
Really? That's far back.
no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
we
be
no
all
lo-
that
we
far
no
back.
we no longer support those.
Why don't you come on in? We'll take a look, see if we can't clear some things up. If not, I mean, we'll show you what we got new this year. Kind of models.
Come take a look at the Geek Squad. They'll help you out, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
You know,
Maybe an
the-
Apple consultant or somebody will be able to tap into that.
Exactly.
I don't understand why you're so far behind.
The moment you walk in, they're just like, oh yeah, this thing, I remember these. So right over here,
This archaic piece of technology. Anyways, you want to come take a look at these because
get
I don't
'em.
want to deal with that. Yeah.
yeah, because this is just wow. Well, I need the information off of it. Well, it's also archaic. I can't just get all the data off of it though. So why can't we?
Yeah. Shouldn't it be easier because it's archaic? What?
Well, I mean, you'd think so.
But
do you know
again-
how to code? Didn't think so.
Exactly. But then again, that's not my job, so I don't know.
You'd
So
have to talk to the programmers, and if there's one thing everyone in 2022 knows, no one talks to the programmers.
the programmers don't exist. It's kind of like
They
Tron.
exist, but no, they're the
No,
coolest, the
it's-
most protected and elitist.
It's like Tron, in my
Talk to
opinion,
them,
man.
not through many walls. Talk to someone in the company who asks a question of another person who finally brings the program.
It'll get to them by email in 10 years.
Oh,
And by then, they've already discovered a better way to have done it.
Yeah.
And that question will be null and void and not valid. So it's like, why are you asking that? We already fixed it.
it's been fixed. See, you still don't eat.
Exactly. You've
That's
already
not the part. That's not the part I
exactly.
was
That's
talking
not what
about.
I wanted. Exactly.
And then you look at the bottom of the email, and again, it gives you that good old classic. We've marked this case as resolved. If you still have any issues,
Right.
please go ahead and go back to the beginning.
Exactly. You're back in the queue. Frequently asked questions. If you'd like
Yeah.
to, please refer back to those. And if we miss anything, let us know. We'll be happy to fix it for you.
Well, I wonder if anybody. I'm making sure that. I mean, I think we got 2 viewers on Twitch. Thank you for who are watching.
Hey, thank
I've
you.
got
Yeah.
Let me see. It doesn't look like.
Like and follow. Tell your friends, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah. If anybody,
And if you have any cool stories, man,
yeah.
definitely DM us, hit us up on Twitch or all of our socials. Let us know. We'll get back to you usually within a day or a couple hours, and we'll put you on the show, man.
We are definitely looking for people with stories, experiencers, even skeptics. Even if you have a story that you just don't refuse to believe, if as I said, I'm Travis Walton, hands down. I believe him. I've done. It's one of the first cases I heard about when I was little, and I mean, I've been looking into it forever, and I mean, even they put him on this Fox TV show, which they got rid of. It was about like a lie detector test and all this stuff. And they did some kind of shady BS to try to make it look like he's been lying, right? On like TV. Like they tried to set him up. They set him up, right?
Of course.
Of course, because it's TV. And you know what's great? They tried to do like a gotcha. All right. But by the way, the guy's not like, it's not helped his life. To be this guy who had this thing happen to him.
There's no reason to try to be the guy who breaks out the truth on that sort of a thing. That's never a good situation.
I did go to a MUFON meeting.
You should probably explain what that is too.
MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network. They are a very well organized, by all appearances. I'm not one of them joined in or anything. I did, I kind of like audit class and everything. And there was a gentleman there who had a story that he was what had happened to him, his encounter, and he talks about how he was a healthy guy when he was young. Then this thing happened to him. He saw this thing out driving his truck and never the same again. Talked about, growths and all sorts of, I don't know the exact, it was a few years ago, but I took it was fascinating, these people who have these stories, they don't have great outcomes,
No,
not these
never.
days.
Yeah, never. The world's too small for that sort of a thing nowadays.
In the past, though, you know about George Adamski?
No.
George Adamski, there's one to look up. George Adamski was, I'm going to bring this closer, I think. George Adamski was a man who, I believe it was the 40s or 50s. It was right after, there were almost like UFO type cult mentality people coming up who weren't trying to start a cult. They they still to this day, there are believers, but it's not like a cult. It's like this guy's story is corroborated in different ways. Apparently he had this message. They went to this, they took him.
He went from the moon to other planets. I'm reading.
No, I don't remember. I'll be honest, I cannot remember any of the stories that have to do if he was taken outside of Earthbound.
That's what it says. He claims that
he was.
Yeah.
What about the
now
I guess
50s.
He had met one, and they said, "Hey, we need you to give a message to the Pope," and they're in Rome, and he shows back up, and he takes this little walk. He says hey to like this bishop, says his name, I guess, and disappears. Like, the people who were there, their story is like he walked up to this guy, and he said a few words, and they were like, And then he showed back up a couple minutes later. It's like, oh yeah, he's flipping this coin. He's just like, yeah, I got this from him. And they look at it, and I guess later on, I think after his passing, they had taken the coin to be appraised, and someone was like, where did you get this coin? There's only really one way to get this particular. This is authentic or something, if I remember the story right. And they're like, you only get this from the Pope. If you, it's like he had like a coin, and it was like a proof that he met the Pope kind of thing. Unless, I guess, now here's the other thing. Nobody says they saw him meet the Pope, but he's got something that traditionally you only get as a, I don't know, like a very like special thank you from him. And maybe I'm getting a lot of these details wrong. If anyone out there is listening and knows more about George Adamski than me, please correct me. I appreciate it. I'm cool to be wrong. You know,
He's also got a book out in 2008 where they wrote, or they published a book in 2008 about his information about what happened. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's on Amazon too. The story of George Adamski, the flying saucer, contactee, the first flying saucer contactee. And it does talk about, like you're saying, where he landed and he was in ridicule, and he basically, like you said,
now,
it's kind of interesting.
The other weird claim that I don't know if there is a picture, but guess I guess he also had, instead of a traditional belly button, he had like a scar or something, which I guess probably, gut wound. I think he didn't live to be a very old man, possible gut wound, but I guess it looked like a scar. So
Oh,
kind of,
really?
I think possibly one of the beginning ideas of like star child, star children type thing, you know. There's who's the other guy, other famous contactees. I like learning about them because sometimes they are such fantastic stories, and some of these people I really believe, or at least, I believe that they were were made to believe this somehow. And I don't know what that even entails. I don't know how to make someone believe. I don't know how to, I mean, Inception, but on the biggest scale, not just,
Right.
I think I'm gonna wear those shoes tomorrow. Like, like I have details about how it happened.
Right.
I don't know how that kind of thing can happen. I don't believe in mass hysteria. Well, not in a sense of the Ariel school case is a case of mass hysteria, or in Nuremberg, I believe, back in the 1500s, the case where there's a painting of a battle happening in the sky between crosses and triangles and discs. You know what I mean? If you look that up, I think it might be Nuremberg. There's an old picture of it's somewhere. If you take a look at that, and again, the reason why we're not showing any of these pictures is because if we find anything very interesting, we're going to post links for everything. We started out talking about aliens because of a mask on Instagram. You check that mask out. We have all of our links everywhere here. Check them out. And that had a shape of a head that reminded you of what movie again? It was Stargate, right?
Stargate for me,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember it reminded me exactly the head shape I thought of Independence Day, where they had really
It very
like
much is, yeah.
a manta ray shaped head. And so, what could they look like? I mean, I like the idea of, they're time travelers. And I'm not saying I believe it, but, they're us from the future. They're so fucked up with their cloning BS that like they're coming back to get DNA samples of like the
A more
ancient
pure
line.
source.
Like they need to fix what they fucked. You know what I mean? Is one interesting theory, and I like that. That's a fun one too. Reminds me of the Ben Bova series, the Orion
Yeah.
series. Orion and Drew, our friend. who I've not seen in a long time, but you just recently saw him. He's the one who turned me on to that. And Drew, if you happen to have been listening, I've read the entire series since then, and I don't think we have the music on this one today, but Dustin is doing the music and getting that ready for us as we speak. And yeah, when we have the music, how did I bring that up? I've given the entire book collection. I went to used bookstores and everything. I found them, read them all, and I gave them to him. He's continued to read them all, and it's a major part of the mythos of good ideas. It's, you know what I mean. The book, Ben,
Yeah.
you know, we have no sponsors or anything. I mean, it's not like, you know, the Ben Bova estate asked us that. Just, you know what?
No,
credit,
yeah.
credit is
Mention
due.
who? Yeah, mention what we
Credit
like.
where
Who cares?
Credit is due. No, I know that.
Until later on, when they're like, "Hey, don't ever mention those guys again."
Well, yeah. If they ask us not to mention them because they hate us, I'm sorry. I was just trying to
because they pay us, then that's different.
You know, I just am giving such a stellar review. I just really, those books were phenomenal. I read them like 2 or 3 times each. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Skyports thrown throughout time. Amazing. You know, aliens are involved. Maybe they're just future us. They went back in time to pretend to be the ancient gods. Everything is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's not, because there's free will, except people are in control of time travel, so it's fucking with your free will. 2 steps forward, well, they went back in time, so now you have to learn how that you're supposed to go 2 steps back again. You know, like it's you know, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
That's pretty big line of books too. Actually,
There's 5 of them, I believe.
4, 5, 6.
6?
Yeah, Orion, a novel, Vengeance of Orion, Orion the Dying Time, Orion the Conqueror, Orion Among the Stars, and Orion and King Arthur. In 2011 was the last one.
Orion and King Arthur?
In 2011, yeah.
Written by Ben Bova?
Yep, Ben Bova, all of them.
Well, I read all but 1.
Right? I mean, you are right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ones you read were 5.
Yeah, I guess.
The 6th one was 2011. So, and the other ones were all like from 1984 to 1995. Among the Stars is probably the last one you read.
Oh yeah, Among the Stars. That was, yeah. Even though, you know, the first one has stars as well, but there's kind of a full circle effect kind of happening as well. Where everything, it's almost like doomed to repeat, even not just, you know, different people in different times doomed to repeat the past. Like this man almost doomed to repeat his folly of, you know, it's almost like, if I remember correctly, I thought he was going to go basically back to book 1 at the end of book 5, which means,
Oh, really? Wow.
but I'm likely incorrect. But the other thing too is the way the books are laid out is that they could just tell another tale about him doing something else, because we still don't. Everything is kind of disconnected. He's always popping into different spots. The books don't necessarily follow exactly up. They're not written in a particular order.
I mean, it says there's an order, but it's not. Yeah, it said. I was going to say, I was reading up. It says there's an order, but it's not. It's not. It's not like the series follows a specific. Like you have to read this to understand that. Like it doesn't work that way. That's pretty cool. You can get them on Kindle and all. Excuse me. Get them on Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. All of them.
So yeah, factor that in. What, 1985 to 2011.
2011 was the last one published. Yeah.
And so 6 books. That doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter that they were written at different times and they were not written in chronological order. There is no chronological order. There is no chronological order to this story. I've never seen it done this way. As far as time travel concepts, as far as time travel concepts, you know, and I'm sure people may be polarized if, you know, if they hear that, oh, there's a specific order, and I might be wrong, but I kind of feel as if everything is so fluid, you know, that it's not, and it wasn't written to be read that, you know. It's not like anyone's waiting to see what happens in a particular timeline, because he's not there anymore.
Right? It's gone.
Yeah.
And that's gone.
And even if he were to return and relive it again, he wouldn't know he's reliving it. Kind of a horribleness phenomenal book. Anyway,
Cool. Let's check that one out,
that one
actually.
is another good one. Let me see here. Any other alien cases you particular fancy on?
I mean, actually, funny enough, some of the ones that were they talk about Area 51, like the Greys and all that stuff, and all the spacecraft that landed when I was a kid, actually in like 85, 86, that they're just now releasing, like all the. You can actually go back and read the redacted information from the Air Force. Those are pretty cool to read. You can literally just Google that,
Yeah.
and you can read and see, like, they talk about it's an unknown spacecraft or unknown object. They never actually say spacecraft, which I thought was kind of weird, but they always say unknown flying object, which UFO,
Yeah,
because
UFO.
if they say it's unknown spacecraft, it's like, well, they're aliens.
These
If
days
they say unknown,
UAP.
exactly, I was just about to say that. It's one of those things where, like, you cannot admit that it is an alien, like, from somewhere else, like, very specific. But obviously, if it's not from our, from our planet, it's alien. But whatever. Same thing comes down to, we never want to admit anything simply, but the redacted information is pretty fun to read, because it just talks about, like, the first ones in like 84, 85, I think it was, where they found a spacecraft that crash landed, and there wasn't anybody in it or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just basically like a probe kind of a thing, and then eventually they were like looking through it, and there wasn't enough stuff where they could actually learn from it, but there was, well, not learn from it, but enough stuff where they couldn't like take it and like create this new technology. It was just something that they had that was just an interesting, like, hey, look, we found this thing that we don't understand. And then 15
Was it a
years
sphere?
no, this one was actually like a saucer type. So
Okay.
when they found it, they basically ripped it all apart and tried to figure it out, but they couldn't, because the technology was so far ahead that they didn't even, I mean, they didn't even have radar back then. So
Yeah.
let alone, you know what I mean? They didn't even know it was going to land it until somebody was driving by and was like, hey, what's this thing? You know what I mean? So that's that kind of technology they had back then. So
I don't know,
you
Mr.
know,
Kent. I'll go take a look.
exactly. Like, I was talking to actually my great uncle who just passed. He actually helped creating radar with Rockwell Space and aeronautics.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was one of the ones. He created cell phones and all that. Like, they all talked about. He has plans and all these blueprints of how they actually created cell phones and radar and how they went about it. It was so interesting to hear, because you don't think about it. You're holding, an iPhone 13 in your hand, and you're like, what the hell? I can't get signal up in an airplane, and you're bitching about how bad the signal is. It's like, dude, in the 70s, you would carry a backpack that weighed 50 pounds.
Yep.
And it had the mile range of about 100 miles.
Yeah.
And you couldn't barely hear the guy who was talking to you, because it had to have a direct line of sight. And if it didn't, it was crackly and messed up. Like, so crazy to hear the technology that changed between now and then.
Yeah.
I also believe that's based on alien technology.
There is
The
Philip
leaps
Corso. Philip Corso.
Yeah, the leaps and bounds that every time that another alien discovery
what I
or
think
another
about him,
or another UFO happens, now magically we get all this new technology. Kind of hand in hand with me.
I guess we can't talk about getting technology from UFOs without touching on the Germans in World War II.
Well, they were searching for UFOs
But the
and all that,
reports of how did you get some of this technology? Oh, we had help. You ever hear of that one right there? The idea that they I've heard reports about Eisenhower shaking hands and making deals. I've heard, his granddaughter supposedly, if I'm wrong, or I don't mean to be wrong, but from what I've seen, she's done many an interview. She believes it wholeheartedly, and many other people have these reports of I was there and this and that, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much a believer in that too, where it's like, hey, look, everything that we get technology wise is always a trade-off. always a trade-off. It's never been something that someone just, oh, I'll pop into something and create it. It's always like, why do we need this? Let's figure this out so we can trade this off or make something else happen. I mean, it comes down to like stupid stuff like electricity, you know. Like, he wasn't looking for a reason to make electricity, you know, like there was a reason for that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, he wasn't like, oh, I wonder if I can make something, you know what I mean? I wonder if I have this power source. No, he was looking for, you know, a reason to have a power source, that kind of a thing. Telephones, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It was for communication. It wasn't for, I just want to talk to my friend from way far away. It's like, no, there's a whole.
This is a game-changing.
Exactly. This is a life-changing giant.
world-changing
Exactly.
technology.
Exactly, and that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, all of the stuff that we have had has always been a huge advantage, and everything that we've had that has been super life changing. I mean, touchscreens is one of them. Like in the 70s, 80s, touchscreen was something that was just a joke. It was like, oh, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
They had it on Tron and all the other stuff. Now you have a touchscreen phone. You know what I mean? Like, that was not a thing back then. It was like, this is a fantasy. This won't happen until 2025, and in less than, you know, 10 years, not even 20 years from Tron and all those movies, in less than 10 years, that was a thing. Touchscreen was already out and happening. You know, and it's just funny to think that we've had so many more advancements, and I don't believe that it's so much of a science thing so much as we've had so many more advancements because of aliens and because of advancements that we now have technology to figure out these alien technologies that we've had since the 60s and 70s. Now we can dissect them and go through them and check them out, and we understand how they work. Now we can implement them into our humanoid, in quotations obviously, humanoid you know, or I shouldn't say humanoid, earthly. Humanoid seems racist.
Well, you know, at the same time, though, Bob Lazar said that I believe that he said that he had taken a look at at least one or two different craft, and at least, you know, and he even says he always makes sure to say that the information he was given, and of course, with this kind of situation, like the technology he was looking at is absolutely what he was looking at. He's not but the stories that were given to him, he doesn't know if he can believe. Right? They said like it looked, you know, like it was from the future, but at the same time, it was obviously thousands of years old. They had found it on a dig. They had found it. So okay, maybe it's UFO crashed in the past, but I also very much like the idea of the ancient civilization or civilizations that were global, and I mean, kind of like an idea of you know, like an Atlantis, you know, in a way, and then you know, catastrophe. I kind of think that, and it's possible we're not finding the remains of aliens. What if what if we're or the remains of alien technology when we find it on an archaeological dig? What if sometimes it is the remains of ancient human? You know, there's that place, Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but Mohenjo-daro, I believe, is completely irradiated. You know what I mean? The animals don't go there. They won't drink the water. They know what it is. It's poison, and there are like skeletons burned into the walls, the vitrified rock walls. Vitrification is when rock is turned into glass on the surface, and it's like women shielding children from blasts, and it's completely filled with what's it called? Copy that. Completely filled with radiation. It looks like a nuclear blast went off, and there are skeletons shielding their children. And I think that, you know, other places, other times, we could have had someone, you know, discover the atom.
Sure.
and blow up the entire civilization.
Yeah. Like accidental catastrophe, like you
Accidental
were saying.
catastrophe.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so if something gets buried in this place that is, let's say we think it's an alien spaceship. Oh, also, here's my favorite conspiracy theory that I'm going to start right here, right now, because the truth is, we are going to be wrapping up in just a few minutes. But the conspiracy theory I'm going to start is the reason why we never find giant bones is because, and the reason why we keep finding what we're calling hobbit bones is because we're the giants, we're the Nephilim, we're all the bads. We're the giants. Every time you find a human skeleton, it's a giant. We killed the little ones, right? There you go. There's the new ones. We're the giants. That's why we're the biggest things on the planet and why there's less resources. Because if it was humans who were here, they'd have done it right. Anyway, we stole the
Right.
name. You know what I mean? We had our own Ellis Island back then. We said, I'm going to take a different name. You know what I mean? I come from somewhere else. I'm this big. I think, yeah, I think the biggest, I think that's what it was. That's a joke, of course. But anyway,
Right.
but deep down, not a joke. Hashtag we're the giants.
We the Giants, exactly.
Well, I think this is really, there's going to be more details. We're going to be diving into topics, and we have people coming on who will be like, I'm talking to paranormal investigators. I have ideas. People, I have a comedian friend. I've got a lot of things going to be going on. So we're going to have people asking them uh, what paranormal stuff they've heard of, what they've gone through. If anyone likes it, please let us know. We have all of our information. We're looking for people to chat with too. So yeah, we
Yeah,
might bring you
definitely.
on.
Yeah, we're gonna try to have a couple friends on too here, in the next, every Tuesday we're gonna try to do this. Try to do it at I think between 5 and 7, somewhere in that time frame, right? And just dial it in and have you guys on and have our friends. And if you guys want to say anything, make sure you can comment on there. Hit us up on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all those, and either direct message or hit us up either way you can. Even email us. We'll get
Nine
back to you as
midnight
soon
at
as we can.
gmail.com.
There you go. That's the
We
one.
check that. So I guess we are going to be getting out of here. Next time there will be music and other things. Thank you
Yeah, man.
everybody for who watched.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye now.